What's up, y'all? I know we took a little break, but welcome back to Marshall Time. This is an exciting week. It's probably one of my favorite times of the year, bro. For just as a basketball fan, NBA draft time, off season. It's like for the NBA, there's no really off season. We just ended the finals not too long ago, and then pretty much straight after that, just nonstop action, rumors, big trades that are happening already. Let's talk about the latest trade coming out of Twitter. Nothing's official yet, but Woj and Shams, they're already reporting that a three-team deal between the Celtics, Wizards, Clippers. So Kristaps Porzingis will go from Washington to Boston, Malcolm Brogdon from Boston to LA, the Clippers, and then Marcus Morris will go from the Clippers draft compensation to Washington. I love the deal for the Celtics, Porzingis. I feel like for Boston, I think it's solidified that they're going to bring Jaylen Brown back. So you got Brown, you got Tatum. They already had a log jam at the point guard spot with Marcus Smart, Derek White, and Peyton Pritchard too. So there's really no time for all four of those guys, right? And so you keep a Derek White in there still. Who knows what they do with Peyton Pritchard? You get a guy in Porzingis who I think is an upgrade from Al Horford, who's at this point in his career shouldn't be starting for an NBA team, let alone a championship contending team. You get a more offensive presence compared to a Rob Williams and Al Horford, so it works out for them. For the Clippers, the conversation has been they need point guard help, right? And so you get a Brogdon. I still don't know what the Clippers are doing because the main issue is Kawhi Leonard and PG. Can they stay healthy? And that issue as these guys get older isn't going anywhere. And then for the Wizards, and we'll talk more about this a little later because we'll talk about another franchise that I think is playing themselves too. But the Wizards is a classic case of a team that held on for too long. You held on to the John Wall, Brad Beal situation, and now look at you. I would be tight if I'm a Wizards fan. The year we decide to blow it up is the year we could have had Vic or Scoot or Brandon Miller, right? Like you waited too long to tank. I'm not sure what next year's draft class is looking like yet, but there's no generational player like a Vic in next year's class. I don't think so. The minute they try to tear it down completely, it's like, why? You held on 2 years too long. And so they played themselves, but kudos to the new management trying to do the right thing and tear it down. But man, that's tough for Washington. So they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league for the next few years, it's looking like. So that's just my quick thoughts on the trade that isn't official yet, but looks like it may be leaning toward that. So what are your quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a clear win for Boston. The only problem is Kristaps has to stay healthy. But I think this is a good role for him. He can shoot the threes that he likes to shoot. I know he's going to make more threes than Al Horford was doing this playoff. So he provides more size, some rim protection, length. So it's a good pickup for them. It's something that they needed. They gotta get it done though, man, because that's a lot of money between him, Jaylen Brown, and Tatum. It's like sheesh. So they got to get it done. But that's a good pickup for them for sure.
The other trade that went down before this trade, actually, well, this trade is actually official that I'm about to talk about. The Phoenix Suns have now Bradley Beal, speaking about the Wizards, and just tearing that down. Chris Paul is no longer a part of the Suns. Landry Shamet, they go over to Washington. Bradley Beal comes over to the Suns. So you got Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. 3 buckets, right? I know that when Phoenix got KD this year, a lot of people were excited about what they could offer, what they could bring. But when you run up to a Denver Nuggets team, the question that we always had was the depth of this team. And I think you saw that in the playoffs, right? Outside of KD, you needed KD and Booker to be amazing every single second. And if that wasn't happening, you're going to fall off, right? Because you can't rely on a Chris Paul. You can't rely on a DeAndre Ayton, who disappears way too much for my liking. So you add a Bradley Beal, maybe that shores up that third scoring option for a Phoenix Suns team. So to me, this doesn't really drastically change my perception on Phoenix because I still think they're a top 4 team in the Western Conference. I don't know if they're better than Denver still. I still think Denver is the class of the West. I got to see how the rest of the offseason shakes out. But I still think when it comes to chemistry, cohesion, Denver still has a slight edge. But with Bradley Beal, you're not so reliant upon a KD and a Booker to be lights out every day. And Bradley Beal has to stay healthy too. He misses a lot of games too. I think he played about 50 games this year. So there's question marks about his health, especially at this point in his career. Can he stay healthy? That's a lot of money, though, for DeAndre Ayton and those 3 guys, right? They still got to figure out that salary cap situation and how they fill out the rest of that roster. But if they can find some veteran guys to get in there, they can free up some space, maybe trade in Ayton we'll see how. I mean, look, it's still early, right? And so we don't know what these teams are going to do. It's still a lot of time left in the offseason, but I think I don't think Phoenix lost anything in this trade. If anything, they gained. So it's a win for me in my eyes. You didn't lose anything.
Yeah, it's definitely a win. If they won the trade for sure. I love Bill going to the Suns. I think it's definitely a good addition considering they didn't have to give up much. But I still think they need to make some moves. They do have to get deeper because we've seen how top heavy teams tend to go. Like you got your main guys, but when they get gassed in the playoffs or shots aren't falling, you need other people to step up. And more importantly, they need some more defenders. So I think their best bet is to trade DeAndre Ayton. I mean, you might be able to get a couple players that could really come in and fill roles that you need. Ayton, like he's a talented player, but you got to remember when Ayton first got to the league, his thing was offense. He was supposed to be like a scoring big man, be able to get buckets here and there, different ways. But the Suns, they're a team, they don't need that. They have 3 buckets in Booker, Bill, and KD. So they really need a center that's going to really bring defensive presence. Not saying he can't play D, but he's not like I wouldn't call him an anchor. Like he needs to be a dog down there, like Robert Williams is. They need something like that at center. Ayton is too many times where he doesn't look engaged, and he's not giving it 110%. So that's what they need from their center, and they also need more 3-and-D guys. So we'll see how they go about that. But it's definitely a great trade for them. I'm kind of torn because, like, when I think about it, I'm like, they took the Nuggets to 6 this year, and I always think if they had Bill, could they have won the series? We'll never know, but it's a valid argument. Like, because all games were pretty much close. All they needed was somebody else to get some more buckets. So I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, and I think Denver's going to be. I mean, Bruce Brown's going to be agent this year, so I think that's a huge story to watch for Denver. I expect Christian Braun to get better. I think Peyton Watson has a chance to improve this summer. He was a young guy for them. And they made a great draft day deal, pre-draft day deal that we'll talk about that I think could possibly find some value. I just think Denver's doing it right. They're one of the teams that actually they know this is a team that knows what it's doing. And so I like the overall future of the Nuggets and that front office and the player development staff. They seem to be on point. They know what they're doing, even if they have to take a loss. Case in point, Bruce Brown, as he should get paid. And if he decides to go somewhere else, I think there are some contingency plans that they may have to look at. And I think that they already thinking 2 steps ahead. So we'll continue to talk about that as well. The third thing that I want to talk about when it comes to just non-draft stuff, we got to talk about this Portland Trailblazers, Damian Lillard situation, because I'm about over it. Like, and 2 things can be true, right? You can be a great player, and Dame, top 75 player of all time, right? He was named to the list. Like, nobody's questioning that. But also, you can also peep game when a player, you can't sound a big deal, right? Get your money. I'm always going to vouch for guys getting their money, players getting their money. Get your money, but don't cry and say they need to make moves. I want to be a contender. I want to compete for a championship. You knew the deal for Portland when you signed that deal. Portland's never been a free agent spot. The only reason they've been good in past years because of the draft. They drafted Brandon Roy. They drafted you, Dame, right? Like, they've never been a free agent destination, right? This is a team that develops from the draft, right? Which is what they've done with Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simons. They have a 3rd pick now. Who knows what they'll do with that? And so I'm just tired of just the back and forth. Dame wants to stay. Dame wants to leave. He does an interview in the conversation about where would you like to go. He mentions Miami. It's like, dude, I think in my eyes, it's like Dame, he talks about his loyalty, which, okay, cool. But deep down inside, it's like, I don't think he wants to be the one that demands a trade. I don't think he wants to be the one to do it. I think he really wants Portland to make that decision. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got my money. I know we can't win. I'm loyal, though, but I really can't stay off that loyal stance. You know what I'm saying? I'm really over the back and forth. If you're Portland, you got to look yourself in the mirror. Like, with Dame as our best player at this point, we've reached the ceiling. It's clear. He's only getting older, right? We have the 3rd pick. We have a chance to get a Brandon Miller or a Scoot Henderson. two top-notch potential all-star talents. We have Anthony Simons. We have a Shaedon Sharp, two guys that I'm very high on. Start from scratch. Start developing these guys, developing an identity, a core that actually makes sense. Right now, I don't know what they're doing, right? And if you're Dame, if you don't want to get traded, I don't want to hear anything then. Don't complain. This is the situation you signed up for. Like, what are you expecting from the Portland staff right now? Like they have the number 3 pick. They have Shaedon Sharp. They have Simons. They have some things to offer these teams. But what deal are they making that's going to put you in contention for a championship? There's no deal out there. Are you getting Giannis? Are you getting Jokic? Are you getting Luka? No. Like, a Pascal Siakam and Dame combination is not getting it done in the West. I'm sorry. It's just not. So I'm tired of both sides, honestly. I don't want to hear the story again. Either Dame gets traded or he doesn't. It's over with. But if I'm Portland, same thing with Washington. They held on 2 years too late. They should have been let off this situation. They should have been. As soon as you figured out what your ceiling was in this situation, you got to let it go. Like, what are we holding on to? And so I'm just over it. Like, miss me with the Portland and Dame situation. The conversation is quiet for me. If I'm Portland, I draft Scoot or Brandon Miller and we rocking out. Like, it's pretty simple. It's not that complicated to me. Like, what are you doing? You're not going anywhere.
Nah, I definitely hear you. It is tiring hearing about it, but I think the media is what's causing the confusion more than anything. Because Dame's stance has always been that he wants to stay in Portland. He's never came out and said, I want to leave Portland. The thing about the podcast, they asked him, if you were to leave, where would you want to go? But he never said he wanted to go. He never came out requesting a trade. He never even said, yeah, I'm open to leaving. It's always been the media throwing rumors out there, throwing scenarios out there. So I'm not really mad at Dame about that. As far as the Trailblazers, I do think this is their time, as from a management standpoint, to wake up and smell the roses and be like, listen, Dame is getting older. People don't come to us. We're in a great spot because we have the number 3 pick. And if we trade Dame, we're going to get more assets then. Mm-hmm. So they have a position to have. They already got Anthony, who could be an all-star one day. They got Shaedon, who could be a good player. He could be an all-star one day. They have the number 3 pick. That pick could be an all-star one day. And then whoever you get for Dame, if you're trading Dame, you're going to be getting a lot because he's a top player in the league. So they could come out of this looking great. But I feel like Portland, they're looking at it like, all right, we can't trade Dame because he's a fan favorite. It's going to look bad on us because he's been loyal to us. We gave him all this money, yada, yada, yada. But this is where you got to ask yourself, are you trying to win or are you trying to look cute to the media and to the fans? If you're trying to win, it's time to let Dame go. And I mean, it is what it is. Like, because like you said, that trading the number 3 pick, what's the most you're going to get? The best trade I heard was Paul George. And I love PG, but he can't stay healthy. And it's like, all right, you get Dame and PG. I mean, it's a good move for them, but doesn't really make them it makes them a contender, but will they win? It's not guaranteed. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like Portland is definitely on them to make that move, make that decision. And I don't think Dame would be mad if they trade him. I don't think he would be. He wouldn't be mad because I think he understands what they need to do. And I think, he wants to win. So if they're going to trade him to a contender, he really has nothing to be mad about. So that's my stance on it.
I just don't want. I'm tired of hearing the story. Like,
we're gonna keep hearing about it because the media
in Portland, like, they gotta. I mean, Dame has made comments. There was a comment he made about, we gotta have a conversation if they don't make moves for us to, to compete. But it's like, what move is there to make?
Well, I think
even with the Paul George in Portland, you're going to give up Simons and Sharp. So you got PG and Dame. What else?
I don't know. I feel like if they trade that 3 pick to the Clippers, if the Clippers are deciding they want to blow it up, I don't think they'll have to trade on it. I think they'll just have to trade pick 3 and maybe some other guys that fill out the salary. I don't think they'll have to trade Simons and Shaedon. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, I just think it's time for Portland to just let it go. But like we said, they have number 3 pick. I've seen crazier trades happen. We just seen Bradley Beal get traded for Chris Paul and nothing. So that number 3 pick could get them something, depending on if they can really make it work. But
Portland's on my list of teams that's playing themselves. Portland, Chicago. Well, Washington's off that list now because they're finally just ripping the Band-Aid off. But Chicago's on that list. We got a conversation about Chicago too.
I think they're breaking up.
I don't know what they're doing.
Get traded. He's getting traded.
Levine got to get traded. DeRozan got to get traded. You got to trade. You get like, what are you doing? In the Eastern Conference, you can't even like you're losing in the play. And what are we doing? Like these teams annoy me. I can't. These type of teams annoy me. Like these are two guys in Levine and DeRozan who can be great pieces on a championship team, but they're wasting away in Chicago. And in Chicago, you're just wasting your fans' time. You're wasting your time because you're not building toward anything. What are we building toward? Hope to get an 8th seed and a 7th seed and get bounced by Milwaukee or Boston? Like, what are you doing? It's foolishness. I couldn't be a GM. Like, if I was a GM for a lot of these teams, I'm cleaning house. Like, I'm cleaning house. Like, I don't have time.
That's what you gotta do, but then they look at you crazy like Sam Hinkie. So,
hey, look, I look at OKC and what they're doing. I look at what they're doing. Like, that's how you build a team. Like, you don't build a team by chasing these big names and going for these trades. And like the teams that have won championships in recent memory for most of the time, I mean, they built from the ground up, right? The Golden States, even before KD. We saw Denver just won it this year, right? Like even Miami making the finals. A lot of those guys were homegrown talent. Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, Martin, Max Strus, right? Like Bam Adebayo. You know, so they added a Jimmy Butler to that equation, right? But the core of those guys were guys that they evaluated and developed. So speaking of development and evaluation, this is the fun part now. Draft. So what we're going to do is, bro, so there's 14 lottery picks. We're going to do something fun. We're going to alternate. We're going to do our own little mock draft. We're going to alternate. We're going to do a coin flip to see who gets the easy first pick, unless you want to shock us. But whoever gets the first pick, they pick first, and that next person picks second. And then we alternate. That's how it works. So let's do a coin flip. Who will get the first pick and get the right to pick the generational talent, whoever that may be. You want me to call it?
Well, what you want, heads or tails?
I'll get tails.
Tails never fails. Let's see.
Let me get that Vic pick.
Heads it is. Yes, sir. Vic is coming to play with us.
That's easy.
Number 1 pick. We don't even got to speak on it. Victor, you know how it goes. We don't even got to talk about it.
I'm going to write these down so we can keep track. The second pick is interesting, right? I love Scoot Henderson. I think he could be a top 5 point guard. Just that explosion, just that energy that he plays with, the athleticism. And Brandon Miller was one of the best players in college basketball. You talk about that fit with LaMelo. Can Scoot and LaMelo play? Is Brandon Miller the perfect fit with the LaMelo ball? So I'm honestly, man, you know what? I don't know what Charlotte is building. I think they just need to add talent. I'm going to go with Scoot Henderson. I'm going to go with the best player who I think is available. I'm going to go with Scoot Henderson, him and LaMelo backcourt. We'll see how that works out. And in the grand scheme of things, maybe Scoot turns out to be the franchise guy. Maybe LaMelo isn't that guy you want to rely on to be a face of the franchise, right? We'll see. But I get Scoot in there, a hooper, a guy who's going to compete, and we'll see who comes out on top, right? And if anything, it's going to be exciting, right? We're going to put seats in Charlotte in that stadium. So I'm going with Scoot Henderson, second pick. Third pick is easy.
That's the pick I would have went with. And what's funny is Jordan is on his way out, but he's going to have the final say on this pick. So he better get this right to kind of.
I don't trust his decision making. He's made some questionable. He drafted Cody Zeller. He drafted Cody Zeller pretty high. I will never forgive him for that, but I digress.
Nah, their history is crazy, but I feel like this is a way for him to leave his impact on that franchise somehow.
Yeah.
Number 3, Portland has it. If they don't move the pick, they got to go Brandon Miller.
Yeah.
I feel like he'll even if they do keep the pick and they keep Dame, he'll be able to help right away. Just his size, his defense, his 3-point shooting, his shot making, he'll be able to help right away. So that's definitely an easy pick for them.
Yeah, I think Portland's in a sweet spot, right? Whoever doesn't get picked second, you just pick who's left. I don't think Portland needs to do anything on draft night outside of a Dame trade, right? You keep this pick. Whoever doesn't go next, you whatever. All right, 4th pick is me, right? No, fourth pick is me, right? Yeah. Houston Rockets. look, Jalen Green, Jabari Smith Jr., Alfred Sagoon, Tari Eason, like I like those guys. You're gonna notice my philosophy, honestly, is a lot of just go with the best prospect. I think Amin Thompson, number 4. I love his playmaking ability. And just watching him and his twin brother Asar, the way they move, I watch how guys move out there on the floor. Do they glide? Do they get in the air easy? Like these guys move with so much fluidity, athleticism, and they have a skill set that I think could be developed. For Amin, I think he's more of the playmaking type versus Asar, who I think is a better shooter. But I love Amin with this group of guys. Him and Jalen Green can be an exciting backcourt, a playmaker that Amin can develop into with those weapons around him. I'm going to Amin Thompson, number 4.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great pick. Number 5.
The tough one right here.
This is tough.
But I like Detroit's core too.
Yeah, so the thing about this is they have Jaden Ivey at the 2. They have Cade at the 1. They got Jalen Duren. It's like
Wiseman. They got Wiseman.
It's a lot of pieces that are like it's young talent, but you know the NBA is all about fit. So it's like making the fit right. I don't know.
It's tough.
But I'm gonna go with Asar here just because he has more upside than everybody else that's left. Both of their shooting can be questionable, but that's why you go to the NBA and work on your game. If he puts the work in, we'll see what happens. But so I feel like this is just the pick for them at 5. They have to do it. I don't know if I'm gonna like the fit down the line, but it is what it is.
You took a guy I was gonna pick next. I was gonna put Asar in Orlando. So now I gotta rearrange my whole thinking now.
Who would you have going at Detroit?
Either Jarris Walker or Cam Whitmore. But I probably would have sided with Jarris Walker. I think physically having him and Duren, that would be a physical front court. With Wiseman, that'd be tough. So I want Jarris Walker out of Houston.
I can see that.
So if I'm going my philosophy of best player available, man, I was thinking about Asar for the Magic. I'm gonna go with the Magic. Interesting, because do they have their point guard of the future? I mean, you got Markelle Fultz, Jalen Suggs. Maybe he needs more time. Cole Anthony. I'm not sure they even know who the point guard is, right? Obviously, you got Paulo Banchero, Franz Wagner. A part of me would have went with a point guard here. You know what I'm gonna do? I really wanted to start Thompson here. I did. I'm gonna go with. You messed up my whole draft board. This how I be on draft night, though.
This how they be.
I'm gonna go. Ooh, there's a certain point guard that I like, but they got a log jam at point guard. I feel like they want to give Jalen Suggs more time, possibly. You know what? I'm gonna go with Jarris Walker. Out of Houston. Add another physical presence. I think physically his body, his athleticism, he's ready from day one to help out those guys, Banchero or Franz Wagner. I was thinking about Anthony Black at this spot, but I think Jarris Walker, you put him in Orlando, add some more toughness to that team, some physicality. I think he could be a good compliment to Banchero and Franz Wagner. So I'm going with Jarris Walker, number 6.
I feel like they're going to pick Taylor Hendricks, but that's for another topic later. I just feel like that's the type of player they would take.
I'm not sure about him just yet, but we'll see.
So for the 7th pick, Indiana, I'm going with my boy Cam Whitmore, man. Nova Nation.
I like him. Yeah.
Solid wing. He gives me like the 3-and-D guy, but he could develop into more. He has a big body, long arms. He's 6'7", about 230. And honestly, like I said, he has the 3-and-D, mold, but it's room for him to become a ball handler, playmaker, kind of like young PG was in Indiana. Yeah. So it's like, all right, they got Halliburton there, they got Buddy Hield, they got some shooters, they got Miles Turner and all that, but they need like a wing that's going to be explosive and just make plays. And I feel like Cam Whitmore can definitely do that for them.
I like Cam. I thought about him possibly for Orlando too. I like Cam. Number 8, got the Wizards. We know what they're doing. They're tearing it all down. I'm going to go with Anthony Black out of Arkansas. I like his size at point guard. I think he's a great playmaker. I think, obviously, it's a point guard-driven league. For Washington, you get Anthony Black in there, develop him at 6'6". He has great size at the point guard spot. And so I think that's a great start for Washington with what they're as far as where they are right now for as a franchise, you possibly have your point guard of the future in Anthony Black. I'm going with Anthony Black, number 8.
I can see that. Number 9, Utah. I think they're going to do Case and Wallace here.
That's my guy.
I think they're going to do Case and Wallace, and it's perfect for them. They could use another guard, another point guard. Who's their point guard? Is this still Mike Conley there, or who?
Conley went to the Timberwolves.
That's right. So who did they end up? They end up getting Sexton.
Yeah, and I think he's on the trading block.
So,
Clarkson's a free agent, I think.
Right, so
they need some help.
This is a perfect. They need a guard, and he can fill in the role. You know how the Kentucky guards are. He's 6'4". He played a lot of great defense. He's going to benefit from the spacing. The Jazz, they have some talent there. I feel like this is a good spot for him, and it's a need for the team, especially if they're trading Sexton. So,
Casey Wallace is one of my top 3 guys to watch in college basketball. Number 1,
Kentucky guards.
Defensively, he's on point. Like quick hands, he's blocking shots, he's pinning shots to the backboard. And you bet on Kentucky guards. I mean, when's the last Kentucky guard that didn't? Even Malik Monk found his way in Sacramento. Tyrese Maxey, Tyler Hero, Devin Booker, obviously Jamal Murray. Just Coach Cal just has a way of seeing these guys. And I think with Kentucky guys, we're not able to see their full talents at Kentucky.
Never
like nobody, and I don't think people even fully remember, like, do you remember SGA at Kentucky? Like, he wasn't the SGA that we see now.
Yeah, he wasn't.
But even Devin Booker was sort of like
low-key,
right? Jamal Murray, I don't think we get to see, because they play with so many great guys. Emmanuel Quickley is another one. Like, you know what I mean? So I just think you can't go wrong with a Kentucky guard. And I think Casey Wallace is being highly undervalued. And I think whoever picks him is going. I was going to pick him in the later pick. I thought I would have slid him a little later in the lottery because I thought he was going to slide. But you picked him. I'm proud that you picked him that high too. But I was banking on, honestly, I was banking on Kaysen going to the Thunder at 12. I was banking on that.
Teams let him slip that far. They're foolish.
Because I'm thinking like SGA, Josh Giddey, you get a Kaysen and Wallace in there that can defend the other team's best guard, take off that load. I thought that would have been a great pick. But I think Kaysen Wallace is going to be one of those guys that, man, for a championship team, he's going to contribute. Man, we got the Mavericks. I don't know what the Mavericks are doing. Obviously, you got Luka. Kyrie Irving, what's up with him? And so, man, there's talks about them possibly trading this pick. I don't know about that. But if they keep this pick, man, you know what? I think they can use some shooting. There's 2 names. There's 2 guys who are considered the best shooters in the college game. I'm going to go with Grady Dick from Kansas. I like those Kansas guys. I'm going to pick him. A great shooter. Luka's going to find him. You know what I mean? You got Jaden Hardy, another explosive driver. You add Grady Dick, who I think will surprise people. He could do more than just shoot, actually. Like, I've seen him play. I saw him play once in a tournament or in a showcase in Memphis for his high school, and he surprised me with his athleticism. So I like it. I think Kansas guys come in, like you see a Christian Braun. I just think they're ready to compete in the league and contribute. So I think Grady Dick being a shooter next to Luka, maybe Kyrie, who knows? But I think that would be a good pick for them.
Well, is the Magic again after? Did they have Magic have 2? Don't they
the Magic got 11. They're gonna be eating this lottery, man.
Now, like I said, the pick that I think they're going to do the first time, but they might end up doing it on their second pick, Taylor Hendricks.
Yeah.
This has Magic written all over it. He went to UCF just like Jonathan Isaac. He's long, about 6'9", can do a little bit of everything. The Magic, they like those type of players, wings that can do a little bit of everything, athletic. He has a lot of upside. I like his potential a lot. I think he can come in and play some defense and rebound, make some shots. I feel like this is going to be a good pick for them, and it's a pick that they're going to take. He's going to the Magic. I'm a lot out of the top 3. This is the pick I'm most sure about. Taylor Hendricks. He will be on the Orlando Magic. I don't know what pick it's going to be, but he will be on that team by the end of the night. I can and tell him that's where he's going.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, definitely a potential for 3-and-D. I would like to see a little more creation ability from him, but we'll see. But in Orlando, he won't have that pressure of being a creator. You got Paulo, you got Franz Wagner, you got all those guards. And so Orlando honestly might be the best spot for him to find his role as a 3-and-D guy and contribute. So that might be a really solid pick for them. Number 12, Thunder. I got my guy. If I couldn't get Kaysen, I'm getting some scoring help for SGA. I'm going Kobe Buffkin, Michigan.
I like that.
Kobe caught my eye later in the season for Michigan. watching him in Big Ten play. Like this guy is he's a scorer. Just at 6'6", his size, play a little defense too. And so I think for Kobe, he got a little wiggle to his game, some creativity, just the ability to shoot from deep, the ability to drive. I just think he's a bucket. He's just a natural scorer. And to put him with that young core of Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams, SGA, I'm excited about the Thunder. Chet Holmgren is going to be there next year. So you give some scoring help for SGA and Josh Giddey so they don't have to shoulder much of that load in the backcourt. I like Kobe Buffkin, sort of like a off-the-bench six-man microwave scorer. You still got Isaiah Joe, who I'm mad the Sixers let go. But I think the Thunder get Kobe Buffkin. I think they'll be happy for this pick. I think they'll be happy.
Who's next? Is it the Raptors?
Raptors.
The Raptors. I mean, this pick, I feel like this is another easy pick to make. They're going to take Bilal Coulibaly.
Yeah.
They're taking him, international player. We know their GM, loves the international players. He fits what the Raptors like to do, just like the Magic. A lot of long guys that can play D, can shoot, can make plays. I feel like he'll fit right in. His comparison, he's literally compared to OG Anunoby. That's what a lot of, scouting services compare him to. Especially if they look to move OG. I don't know if that will ever happen, but he played with Vic. I saw some games. He did look solid for them. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's a good spot for him to land at is in Toronto.
Based off the guys they went with in the Nick Nurse era, at least, right? Those sort of long players, they can switch on defense, and they've done a great job of developing guys. You know what I mean? So that would be a great place for him to develop. So I mean, just seeing him, the potential's there. I mean, he's young, right? So, but I see he's 18. That's crazy. So the potential's there. And so Toronto will be a great landing spot for him. The last pick in the lottery, I mean, I think for a New Orleans team, honestly, there's issues with Zion and things like that. But as a sheer talent evaluation, I think their roster is one of the best in the Western Conference. I love Herb Jones. Trey Murphy can have a big jump this year. Brandon Ingram. I mean, as far as drafting and developing players, Jose Alvarado, I mean, they do a good job. Dyson Daniels, Willie Green is a great young coach on the rise. I think the Pelicans are in a great spot at this pick. I think they need a point guard. CJ McCollum, I guess, is the guy right now. He's getting a little older, but I would love to have a younger guy that can develop in that spot. I'm going to go with Jalen Hood-Schifino, number 14 out of Indiana, 6'6". I was surprised. I thought he was like 6'3", 6'4", but he's 6'6". That's pretty tall. That's a good size for a point guard spot. And so I think you get a Jalen Hood-Schifino in there, have him develop with those young guys. I think he'll fit right in. I like Jalen Hood-Schifino, point guard at Indiana, stepping in, number 14 for the Pelicans.
Okay. So before we wrap everything up, what are some teams that you think should make some moves, or what are some trades you want to see outside of Dame? We know everybody wants something to get traded. What's some other teams that might make some moves with their draft picks or players might be shipped out? What do you got your eye on?
Man, I'm looking at the draft order actually, see who has some situations going on. You know what? I want to see a lot of these teams have multiple first round picks, right? The Nets, the Rockets. I want to see what those teams do. Do they look to try to trade up with one of those picks or trade to get a veteran piece? That's what I'm excited to see. Those teams with multiple picks. What do you do with that? So yeah, as far as outside of those actual draft picks being moved around, obviously everybody's looking at the Dame situation. Will Portland do anything? I want to see if look, I'm a Sixers fan. We're Sixers fans. I want to see if they do anything. We don't have a single pick. I'm kind of upset at that, but it is what it is. Do we trade into the first round? What do we do? Is there a Tobias Harris deal that we can get into the first round? I don't know. So I'm excited to see if Philly decides to get into the first round. Maybe even Boston Celtics. They have the 35th pick. Peyton Pritchard's name has been out there as well. Maybe they get into the first round. Brad Stevens isn't afraid of making moves. Neither is Daryl Morey. So that's what's on the top of my mind right now.
Yeah. I want to see if Zion ends up really getting traded. I know he has a lot of drama going on and all that. I know he can't, he hasn't been able to stay on the court. I still think he's a super talented player with a lot of potential. He's still young. He still has time to turn it around. but it's been a lot of rumors. The Pelicans could easily trade him for a top pick.
Yeah.
Let's see if it happens. I want to
Yeah,
see if it happens. There's been a lot of rumors. I do want to see if it happens. Obviously I want to see if we make some moves as the Sixers. I want to see these teams that we were talking about though, like the Bulls, like DeMar DeRozan. I feel like he's going to get traded. Levine might get traded.
yeah.
It's just a lot of question marks. Are the Clippers going to blow it up? Are the Suns going to move eight? And I feel like this is going to be a wild draft night tomorrow. I feel like it's going to be a lot of trades, a lot of teams just seeing what can happen.
Speaking of trades, Denver made it might go under the radar, but I don't think it should. I don't know if you saw this, bro. So they traded their 2024 first round pick and 2023 40th, pick to the Pacers for number 29 and 32 for this year.
I heard about that.
I think that's a savvy move because at 29 and 32, you can still get quality guys to maybe even, I mean, they got Christian Braun late. Like they've shown the ability to evaluate talent in the later parts of the draft. And so at 29 and 32, you can still get high level picks, right? I mean, we know where the Joker was picked at, right? So there's history to this. And so I wrote down a few guys who I think would be great late in the first round, or maybe even the second round. I love Bryce Sensabaugh's game. Ohio State, just a bucket. You know, you look at his game and you're like, how does he get to his spots? How's he getting these buckets off? Because he's not wowing you with his speed or jumping ability. But we can see with the Jalen Brunson, there's space for that type of game in the NBA. If a guy that can find a way to get to his spots and get his shots no matter what you do, you need to have that on your roster. Give me the rock and go. So Bryce Sensabaugh is a guy. I like Trace Jackson Davis from Indiana. I'm gonna just keep it real. Like he was one of my favorite guys to watch in college basketball. I know he's a 4-year player, so NBA teams don't like that. There's a stigma that comes with that. But watching his game, he put up 20 and 10. He was a highlight show. I mean, the way he's creating with the ball, the way he's attacking the basket. Every time he goes up, he's looking to dunk it. Like just that tenacity. I think he's going to be a great pickup for a team in the late first round and early second round. We'll see. But Trace Jackson Davis, I'm high on him. Andre Jackson from UConn, the national champs. I like what he brings to the team. Imagine an Andre Jackson on Denver. We saw what Christian Braun was able to do. I think we can see that same impact with an Andre Jackson. Two names that intrigue me. I'm not sure where they're going to land. Dariq Whitehead for Duke and Keontae George from Baylor. Yes. I'm not sure. I don't know how to read them right now. They're lottery talents. And if you would have asked a year ago, would they be lottery? Yes, but they've slipped for different reasons. But I think if they go to the right situation and they're developed right, Keontae George and Dariq Whitehead could be solid players in the league.
Keontae has all the tools. He just has to land in the right spot and buy in on defense. And I feel he could be solid in the league. I like Derek Lively. Yeah. And I like Chris Murray, Keegan's brother, just because I feel like, you know, when you have a twin brother that's like that's that good, I know twins don't always end up being on the same level, but I feel like the way Keegan plays is the same way Chris plays. Like they play smart, they don't force it, they can hit shots. They're just solid all around players. I feel like he'll be a solid pro too. So those are my three sleepers.
Man, I'm tight that we ain't got a first round pick. There's a lot of guys in the late first round that I think would be really like. I would love a Bryce Sensabaugh in Philly or Andre Jackson. Like these are pieces that we need, but you know, we'll see what Daryl Morey does.
We need to trade Tobias for a mid pick, get Jordan Hawkins, man. That's what I'm.
Hey,
somebody like that.
Up Dallas or Mark Cuban Tobias for the 10th pick. What's up? Talk to me.
Yeah,
I need that. I need Case and Wallace and Tyrese Maxey on the same team. I need two Kentucky guards. I need it. But the draft is Thursday. So next show, obviously, we'll do a draft recap. Who knows what type of trades? There's going to be a lot to talk about next week. I already know. But with the draft and whatever trades there are, a lot to talk about. Our draft winners, losers, whatever. Next week is going to be fun. I already know. So thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the draft. And we'll see which teams we'll see which teams know what they're doing, which teams don't. We'll talk about that a little later next week. So thank y'all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, support us, social media, YouTube, Marshall Time Podcast.
Peace out.